Good afternoon and welcome to Voices and Views. I'm Carrie Callahan, and with me some special guests for this program. I have Noemi Ban, who is a Holocaust survivor, and also Jim Lortz, a filmmaker, director of a documentary that has followed Ms. Ban through her travels over some of the years. Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you for letting us both be here.
Thank you for inviting.
Now, Noemi, you are a Holocaust survivor,
Yes.
88 years old. I don't know where to start with the story. I guess you've been in Great Falls presenting your story to people. Where do you start the story when you do a presentation?
First of all, being in Great Falls, last night was 400 people in a church listening. So the people of Great Falls showed a lot of deep interest of that story. And they were there. Today in a high school, 800 students listened. And according to the principal, you could hear a pin drop. They were so quiet and listening. So that's what I am doing. I am talking about how wrong, very long, is to hate. What I learned in Auschwitz. And I want to make it sure that people understand that hate is wrong, destroys whom we hate, but it destroys you who hate. If I would have hate in my heart now, I would have problem because I would be the prisoner of my own hate. That doesn't work with me anymore. After being a prisoner in Auschwitz, I want to be free. So what do I do instead of hating? What I'm doing right now, what I did this morning, what will I do the next morning in a high school, then in the middle school, and not only in Great Falls, but in Bellingham, Seattle, Oregon, everywhere, wherever they invite me. Very important point what I have to make is that lately I am hearing statements that the Holocaust didn't happen at all. I would love to see those people. I would ask the question, what you people talking about? I've been there. I suffered there, and I lost my whole family there.
How did it start for you? You were a young woman in Hungary in the mid-40s?
Yes.
You might talk about, step back and talk about how you give, Noemi is a teacher, an exceptional teacher, and she makes a point of making sure everyone has a clear sense of where we are in terms of the story. And she always takes a moment to start to backtrack us a bit to give us a little bit of German history about what was happening in Germany at the time.
Yeah.
See, living in Hungary and hearing what happened in Germany, it shows again, and I would like to teach people that whenever you see or hear some kind of sign of anti-Semitism, racism, bigotry, prejudice and hate, react. Don't say that, oh, it happens somewhere else. You have to, we cannot save the whole world, but we should do something to show what we feel about it. And that's what I'm doing. That's why, as a young girl, when I got in the ghetto, when I had to wear the yellow star, when they took us to Auschwitz, when I remember the last 10 minutes when I did see my mom the last time, my little sister, my little brother, and my grandma. Dr. Joseph Mengele separated us. We couldn't talk to each other anymore, but I still remember my mother, she said, Noemi, take care of yourself. I love you. And that was the very last time I saw them. You cannot forget that.
And she and the others went to the gas chambers. You were separated and went
To a barrack, we had to undress. We were able to keep only our pair of shoes. The first room after that was shaving. They shaved our head, not cut our hair. My head looked like my palm, nothing on it. And they shaved all body parts. Being young girls, we were scared to death. Then came the shower. We showered with a pair of shoes, no towel, no dress. Finally, one line of women guards had some dresses of previous prisoners, dresses who were killed already. We had to march and they threw those dresses in the air, and we had to wear it, no matter what size the dress was, no matter what the size you had. Slowly, slowly we learned what Auschwitz meant.
And how long did you spend in Auschwitz? And what did you do while you were there? Did you have to work?
I spent 4 months in Auschwitz. Was nothing to do. We were there to die. Dehydrated, lost weight, about 62 or 58 pounds. And nothing to do. Just the only thing what we should have done, to die, all of us. Many of them, many people couldn't make it anymore. They fainted away. They were picked up, put on the truck. We never saw them again. So in Auschwitz, we had nothing to do. Nothing at all. Jim was there with me, Mr. North, 3 times. He made videotapes of many places there. And the most of them where shocked me was the gas chamber number 5, where I learned that my dear ones were killed. The second one was the shower. I would like him to tell about.
Jim, yes, your connection with Noemi.
Well, I teach at Western Washington University in Bellingham in the theater department, and I had applied for a sabbatical, and I wanted to do something meaningful, and I had met Noemi several years before when she spoke to a cast of mine, and I thought I'd like to either write a play or do something, so I thought, well, let's make a documentary. And had I ever made a documentary? Never. So it was a big challenge. But I called her and said, can I make a documentary about you? And she said, yes, but let me check with my son. And he said, why not? And so she called me back and said, let's do it. And I was lucky enough that they were going, she was taking a group of 30 teachers to Poland and Hungary that summer. So I joined them. And I joined her a year later when it was just she and I and Ray Walpo and her son, George, who went back the second time. But the first time we went through the camp with Noemi, we were walking through the shower facility, and I remember it odd that we just walked right by the shower and the area in the facility. The second time I returned with her, I said, let's stop here. And I said, step into the shower. Because there's a little walkway that you bypass it. And she stepped into the shower, and she started to reveal a lot of feeling, and took her back. And what we have on the videotape is that we juxtapose a picture of there's a famous picture that they have at the facility of all these women who are in the shower, who are naked. We superimposed it over her standing in the shower, and it was a real ghost story for her, because she said it just brought it back to her in a heartbeat.
Going back with Jim, or why do it? What's the reason that you wanted to return there? Some people may never want to return there.
I know. People asking me, how can you? A few reasons. Let me tell you. First of all, and most of all, this is the only place where the last time I did see my mom, my grandma, my 6-month-old brother, and 12-year-old sister. I know that when I go back, I don't know where their ashes are in that big camp, but I don't know where they were killed. I find the number 5 gas chamber, which was dynamited by the Nazis when they left. And coming back there, seeing the brick, the wire to touch, that is a connection with my dear ones. Then, when I first left Auschwitz, I was taken to Buchenwald. I was in another camp too, in close to our city, Allendorf. The camp name was Münchmühle. And when I left Auschwitz, I was still a prisoner. I was still a slave worker over there, I worked. But when I first went back as a free woman, I felt that when I leave that Auschwitz, I free my dear ones, because this time the memory of them, where they were killed, is coming with me to a free country, and they are free here with me. And every time I talk about them, today in the high school, and every time I feel I give my honor for them and my love for them. And those people who listen, helping me for that. And that's why I'm going back. And that's why I talk about it. And it is a must. I feel that I have to do that. Interestingly enough, when I see that destroyed gas chamber, I don't even think about it, what I suffered in that place. In my opinion, this is the most horrible place. What a human being can do to a human being, to kill these innocent people. And that's why I'm going back.
Now, how were you freed? Were you in the camp when Patton's army came, or how did you get freed?
First of all, I was taken. 1,000 of us was selected by Mengele because he got a request from Germany that he needs 1,000 Hungarian girls who are still alive and moving to help in their war effort. They took us from Auschwitz to Germany to that camp where 1,000 of us was fit in. And after 10 days not working, I was selected in a group of 25 where we made part of bombs, little skeletons, 58, 62 pounds. What was the part? We did see little balls, poisonous chemical things, we had to connect it with the wire. And but whenever we did that, when finished a day, was sent to the big factory, put in with the other things, and went away to kill. Kill whom? Those we prayed to liberate us, the Allies and the Americans. And we had one tool what the Nazis didn't have. We spoke Hungarian. They didn't know a word. And we decided that we make a little sabotage. Boy, we made a mess. We messed up this whole thing. Green got red wire, the brown got yellow wire. And we were giggling and laughing that finally we do something against this power. And excuse me, those dumb Nazis in the other room, when they heard us giggling, they thought that we are laughing, having a good time to work for them. So they didn't come in many times to check on us. So we did a lot of mess, and we felt really good. What happened later, I don't want to details, only that after 7 months, they chased us out from the camp. They took us on the highway, and they wanted to have a death march to Bergen-Belsen all the way. And then 12 of us, don't know where we got the courage, we decided that we step out one by one. Took a long time. Standing in the forest, we heard steps. A soldier came, an American soldier. His question was, who speaks English? Hungarian and German. He spoke German. He said he is from Patton's army. He will have to go. We will hear gunshots and we'll fire, but we shouldn't be afraid. He is coming back. He came back, this man. I will never, ever forget his voice, his face, and definitely what he said. He said, you are all free. This part of Germany surrendered. That's how I got liberated.
And then you went back and were
But
reunited?
I was there, this happened in April. I was able to go back to Hungary in September, and here I learned that my father survived.
And you wanted to come to America. How did you get here?
Oh, how much time we have. I would like to hear him talk again a little bit about Auschwitz yet.
Okay.
I want to talk about your father because Shamu
Yeah,
was,
please.
he was a
Okay.
wonderful man. He was an educator. He was a teacher. And probably he went through such grief when he discovered that his family had all died in the camp. And of course, Noemi was the one who had to tell him this. But he changed his name. His name was Schoenberger, Shamu. Hungarian, they say their last name first. But he changed his last name to Gabor, which was the name of his son, who passed away. So he became Gabor Shamu. And I've always been moved by that act that he did. So Noemi had to change her name at that point to Gabor before she got married. The camp, being in the camp 3 times, I still am overwhelmed by it. Every time I come up to it and come to the gate, my mind can't wrap around the fact that it was designed for such a heinous purpose. And Noemi points out in the documentary, and she says, it was all for one purpose, and that was killing people. And it's 500 football fields. If you can imagine, 500 football fields. It stretches out beyond your imagination. It's truly overwhelming. And there's nothing quite as profound as walking the grounds with someone who was there, of course. And I feel a big responsibility to her and her family. I did the documentary as a legacy for her and her family, and I think anyone who watches it is privy to that, and I welcome them to watch it.
So where can they watch it? Or
it's available through our bookstore, I think, at Western Washington University, or maybe our website. Noemi has a website, Sharing is Healing, and you might be able to find out some information there. I feel a big responsibility myself because she's a very dear friend, and I will be back to Auschwitz many times in the future. And I know there'll be a time when I won't be able to accompany her any longer. And I feel a big responsibility to make sure that I am there to help remember Shamu and Yulishka and Erzsébet and Gabor and Nina, her grandmother.
And you have a children's book too.
Yes.
And
Title is Sharing is Healing. And this is for 5th grade on. The vocabulary and the whole story is in, but for younger people to understand the words of the vocabulary of Holocaust is not easy. So we highlighted the words. We thought it should be pointed out. And in the bottom of the page is the definition. Every single word which is highlighted. And there are drawings in it that school children were drawing who listened to me speaking. So it's a nice little book.
well, it's been amazing being able to talk with you and visit with you. And Jim, you did the documentary. Anything else that you want to say at this time to public radio listeners about the Holocaust or your message?
My message, as I said at the beginning, hate is wrong. Hate destroys. Prejudice, bigotry, hate is one thing which I, who lived in it, can say how wrong it is. And that's why I feel that when I hear, first of all, that the Holocaust didn't happen, I have to speak and talk and say, I am a witness. Until I'm alive, I'm willing to go anywhere to be a witness. The other thing is that lately I hear angry and very hurting words in the television, on the radio. People talking to each other and about each other is ugly. It's hurtful. And my friends who were born here in the United States, they're saying that they are amazed and afraid. I always say, you know what I feel? It sounds familiar and makes me scared. That's what I feel. Too familiar. Because when this was going on, there were horrible things were said about the Jewish people. And first we just thought, I was a young girl, but I know my parents were listening, reading, that, oh, maybe it was in Germany, but will be better. As I say, it sounds familiar, and it scares me.
Thank you. Quite a testimony. And Jim, you followed this wonderful woman for a while?
3 years. Yeah, closely for 3 years. And I'm just reminded, too, in my own experience, that Gandhi says we must be the change we expect in other people. And that we have to remind the world to say never again and to find the humane in human. So.
All right. Well, I want to thank you both, Noemi Ban, a Holocaust survivor, and Jim Lurtz, who is a filmmaker, director, professor in Washington. Thank you both for being with us today on Voices and Views.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.